Hey guys, Manny Vaya here, founder of 2000books.com, and in this video I'm going to address a very powerful question. Is it possible to do great things in this world without sacrificing much? Is it possible to do great things in this world while still having an easy life? I want to address that question because a lot of people are talking about this idea that you can have this easy life and still do great things. So let's answer that question. All right, we're going to be talking about a lot of great books, including Deep Work by Cal Newport, As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, one of my all-time favorite books, by the way. And we're going to be talking about Time Warrior. We're going to be talking about Be Obsessed or Be Average by Grant Cardone, probably a bunch of other books as they come to my mind. All right, so let's talk about this idea. But before we do, I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you the story of this great boxer by the name of Rocky Marciano. And the story is in the book Time Warrior, by the way. That's where I found the story. So Rocky Marciano was a great boxer in the 50s, and he literally changed the scene of boxing. He went undefeated, 49 wins, 0 losses, heavyweight champion with 43 knockouts. This guy was a legend, Now here is how he did this. Here is how his preparation routine was. 3 months before the fight, he stopped seeing his family. 3 months before this fight, he would remove himself from the family and put himself in a hotel or something where all he would do is focus on the fight, nothing else. 2 weeks before the fight, he would stop actually talking to new people. He would stop talking to random people. He would stop taking phone calls. He would stop taking any new mail. That's crazy, right? 1 week before the fight, no new food, no new people coming in the door, no handshakes with anyone. Literally, no handshakes with anyone. No car rides. None of that. He's just in his fight mode, focused. He has sacrificed everything else. He's just focused on winning this fight. Now that is extreme sacrifice. All right, another story. That was a crazy boxer. Let's talk about this crazy swimmer by the name of Michael Phelps. You know that for a period of almost 4 years during his practice years, during his early days of practice, he only took 2 days off from practice. At that time, people used to think he was crazy for practicing every single day. They think he would fatigue, he would get tired, his body would actually shrivel because he wasn't giving it enough time to relax. But that's not how Michael Phelps did it. He only gave himself 2 days off within a period of 4 years. And those 2 days, one day he had to get his wisdom tooth removed, and the other day was his prom night. That's all he got. Imagine this. This guy is so dedicated, and he sacrificed everything to become one of the greatest swimmers of all time. One of the greatest. His name will forever be etched in history, right? One of the greatest swimmers to have ever lived. 18 Olympic medals, if I'm not wrong, right? So you see time and again, and if I look at this bookshelf here, this biography of Warren Buffett, the biography of Charles Lindbergh, and there's biography of Titan Rockefeller, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, all of these guys, they're obsessed. They're obsessed and they have sacrificed a lot in order to get where they are today, right? And this sacrifice thing rubs people the wrong way for some reason. For some reason, people think sacrifice is not the way to go. For some reason, people want to have an easy life and still be able to accomplish great things. Well, you've got to make a distinction. You've got to make a choice. Are you looking for the easy life or are you looking to do great things? You've got to make that choice, because the more you're willing to sacrifice right now, the faster your outcomes are going to be. The more you're willing to give up stuff, the faster your outcomes are going to be. And we all have a very limited amount of time in this planet. We all have a very limited amount of bandwidth in some ways, and we've got to be able to utilize it the best we can, right? So sacrificing as much as possible is the key to fastest possible growth. Now, here's a really powerful quote from one of my favorite books, all-time favorite books, As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. This book was written in 1906. I've done a full summary of it, by the way. You should watch or listen to that episode. It's awesome. So here's what James Allen said. I'm going to read it out. He said, "He who would accomplish little needs sacrifice little. He who would achieve much must sacrifice much. He who would attain highly must sacrifice greatly." You see what he's saying? He's saying, if you want to do great things, you have to sacrifice greatly. If you want to do little things, you have to sacrifice little. That's a really simple distinction. The more you want to accomplish, the greater things you want to do, the more you have to sacrifice. It's a one-to-one relationship here. Now, you might be thinking it is hard to sacrifice. I agree with you. In the book Deep Work, Cal Newport talks about this idea of attention space. So if you're familiar with attention space, the concept of attention space says that any given time you have this limited amount of attention space, and you can only give this attention space to specific number of things. You can either think about the most important thing in your life, the most important target you have, or you can think about 25 other things. Every time, let's say you work on something important, something really important for an hour, but then you go in and you start checking your social media, you start checking your TV, or you check your email, or you check your Twitter or your Facebook, all that crap, right? All of that crap is coming into your attention space, and it is really screwing it up. It's actually polluting all of this attention space. So the longer span of time, the longer we can keep our attention space unpolluted and only focused on one thing, the higher our chances of success in that endeavor. So in Deep Work, again, Cal Newport talks about the idea of the monk mode. In the monk mode, people would go work on one thing for extended period of time, let's say 7 days, 15 days, a month, 2 months, 3 months. And that's exactly what this guy, the boxer I told you about, he was doing. He was living in monk mode for 3 years. He had removed himself from family, right? He had removed himself from everything else. That's Rocky Marciano focus, as I call it. But Rocky Marciano was actually practicing deep work back in 1950s. And of course, there's stories of so many other people who have done these great things in their life by sacrificing a lot. They've sacrificed everything else in their life in order to do great things. So you've got to realize sacrifice is a requirement. In the book, Be Obsessed or Be Average, Grant Cardone talks about this idea. Really important idea. You've got to obsess. You've got to go crazy about that one thing in order to do great things. You've got to obsess about it so much that nothing else matters. You've got to obsess about it so much that you're willing to sacrifice everything in order to get to that dream. Now, the concept of sacrifice sometimes can rub people the wrong way, or it can feel like it's a little too much. Well, so is great success. A great success is a lot of hard work. It's a lot of commitment. It's a lot of obsession for that thing. So you've got to decide how much success, how much you're willing to go after. And at the same time, you're also going to have to decide how much you're willing to give up. How much are you willing to give in life in order to get that thing that you're after? The thing is, the more you are willing to give, the more you're willing to give up, the more you're willing to sacrifice right now, the faster you'll be able to accomplish that goal. Again, the whole idea that we have very limited time is very, very, very true. We all have very limited time on this planet, so we have to use it very carefully. Otherwise, we run out of time before we accomplish that great goal that we're after. So really important idea here. You see, there's this whole myth of balance today. There's a lot of conversation about living a balanced life. Yes, it's a great idea to live a balanced life, but is it realistic, and is it possible to live a balanced life all the time? And do you actually need to live a balanced life when you are on your path to that great thing that you're after? What you'll often find is people talk about balanced life after they have accomplished something, after they've gone through that period of imbalance and now they're trying to adjust themselves, after they've done some great things. It's very difficult to live a quote-unquote balanced life while still sacrificing a lot, while still giving up a lot, while still being obsessed about that thing. You think Michael Phelps had a balanced life while he was trying to become the Olympic gold medalist again and again and again? Do you think Warren Buffett had a balanced life? Do you think Rocky Marciano had a balanced life? No, none of them had a quote-unquote balanced life. The idea about balanced life is that somehow you should be giving equal attention to all the important areas of your life all the time. No, there are periods in life when you should be focusing on one thing and then the next thing and the next thing. There are times right now, let's say you need to spend a lot more time on your business rather than on your fun and hobbies and adventure and all that stuff. There's a phase in your life where you need to do that in order to make sure you exceed your expectations of what is possible for you. In order to do great things, you will have to make sacrifices. So I know this video is probably a little extreme for a lot of you, probably a little too much for a lot of you, but you guys are the ambitious kind. So I know I'm talking to the right kind of people here. I'm talking to my tribe here. you and I understand that in order to feed that ambition, in order to feed that beast, the hungry beast inside of us who wants to do great things, we've got to sacrifice. We've got to make sacrifices. We've got to be obsessed. That's the only way we will ever be able to do great things in this world.